You may be wondering just how finished your prototype needs to be to pitch to companies for licensing. And in this video, I will show you exactly how far to take your invention for little or no money at all. Hi, Lisa Lloyd here with more tips, tricks, and strategies to optimize and accelerate your invention licensing business success. If you like this video when we're done, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to know each time I post a new video. And leave your questions and comments below. I read and answer every one of them, and they help me to know what to bring you in future videos. Last week, I showed you how to invent products that sell well and gave one example of how I prototyped one of my inventions, Clicks, and the response was incredible. But I heard the same question a few times. Do I need a prototype to pitch for licensing? To answer that question, you have to ask yourself, what will it take for prospects to totally understand the meaningful difference in your invention? And then give them a reason to believe that it will do the job you say it will. Your product has to be developed enough to effectively communicate to your prospects what the product is, how it works, better than all of the competition. This is the value proposition, and you must give them a reason to believe that it will work when it's built. So, to put it simply, if you have a very simple invention that can easily be understood with just a few images, then some line drawings or photos will be enough. If it's more complicated, though, or so novel, there is any question about whether or not it's going to work, then you need at least a working model. I personally believe that you should have a working model before you even file a patent anyway, because I guarantee that you will have not thoroughly flushed out the best possible solution to the problem that you've identified if you haven't built anything at all. And if you're serious about making money on your ideas, you have to treat it like a true research and development business. Working models are just that. They are functional proof of concept models that demonstrate at least one time that the product can and will work. The aim is to demonstrate the overall functionality and general design. They're not finished and usually not even very pretty, but they do effectively demonstrate that it will work in production, and it makes it obvious to anyone that is an expert in that space that a few tweaks will make it fully functional. Most companies are totally fine with that because they're going to have their own team make improvements when they license it from you anyway, based on their brand and just their domain expertise. So let's look at how you can create working models really cheaper, even for free. Last week, I showed you how I used this working model to successfully license clicks. What I didn't explain was that I had done this before with paper and soda bottle from a previous invention that I called soft claws and licensed to Goody. I needed a way to test my hypothesis that the memory of plastic would be enough to pull the barrette closed and replace that ugly spring that they have on the back of jaw clips. So I tested it first with an empty toilet paper roll. Yep, paper. And it definitely proved that it could work when I had it in my hair, but it obviously wasn't doing a very good job. It needed to be made of plastic. So I cut up an old Mountain Dew bottle and shaped it using some hot water, and voila, I proved that it was a functional working model and would work with the right plastic, and licensed that to Goody. With my first product, though, the French twister, I started with a cut up hanger, and I got the foam off of it that came from the dry cleaner, and I wrapped that around the metal and folded it up with my hair in a ponytail and rolled it up against the head, and voila, with just a couple bobby pins, you had a beautiful French twist, something that women normally had to pay a lot of money to go to the salon and do, or if they did do it at home, required a lot of bobby pins to hold in place. We went on ultimately to make it in plastic with teeth so that it could be rolled out into retail. The metal just didn't make sense, but it was how I had the working model to kick everything off and knew that that was the function necessary from the plastic that would deliver the job that I was hiring that product to do. Let me know in the comments below what crazy materials maybe you've tried with your models. But what do you do when it's more complicated? Well, this is where you may need to spend just a little money or by hiring somebody, obviously, to help you outside of your skill set. But you don't need to spend thousands or maybe even hundreds of dollars. Remember, you only need to prove it works. So you just need a minimum viable product to demonstrate. This is a CO2 powered airbrush that I did a hybrid licensing agreement on. I hired a friend I had met at our local inventors group to machine all of the parts in his garage. If you don't have one of those groups in your local area, look for a maker space or someplace where other makers are gathering. You can either take a class at a maker space and learn how to use their equipment, or you can ask someone there to help you, like I did. We were able to get it working, but it definitely was not perfect. We knew what it would take to make it perfect, but it wasn't really worth the cost unless we were going into production. Now, obviously, this isn't pretty, but I showed the company this along with these images to illustrate how beautiful it could be. And then I explained the rest during my presentation. They were able to see both that it would function in production and how beautiful it could be when it was finished. The first purchase order was $1.2 million. So while I did put a little bit more money into this one, it's one of the biggest returns on my investments that I've ever had. I really want you to burn this into your brain. Form follows function. That means it must work before it can be made pretty. And if you're like me, you'll be working with large enough companies that they're going to see how they can make it pretty as long as they can understand how it works. So you don't need to spend a lot of money on a big fancy prototype. Just write this down every time you're wondering if you're ready to pitch what you have. Is this enough to effectively communicate the meaningful difference in my invention over all of the competition? And do I have enough information to give them so that they believe me that it will get that job done? If you'd like me to take a look at what you have for feedback, or you'd like to build your own invention licensing business, then book a free strategy call with me using the link below. I look forward to hearing from you. Happy inventing.